Hey guys, what's up? This is my review for The 100, Season 5, Episode 3, titled Sleeping Giants. So let's just get right into it. Overall, this episode was good, I liked it. Guys, I cannot say Eligius for my life, so if I keep screwing that up, I apologize. It's a rough one for me, I'm trying my best. So the title of this episode was Sleeping Giants, and that refers to the 283 prisoners on the Eligius Ship. So this episode opens with Clarke and Maddie basically trying to take out all of Diyoza's squad, one by one. And that whole thing was shut down pretty quick after they used I don't even know what it was. It was like an air pulse grenade type thing. It was scary, okay? That's some heavy machinery. And that ended up injuring Clarke. So then we go to the Eligius ship, and we learn a couple things about this group. It's nice to have a little background of what's going on and who they are. We learn that Diyoza was a Navy SEAL. She's gonna be pretty badass, I assume. We also find out that Zeke is the pilot, so he kind of is like Raven in that sense. And he's also the good guy compared to the rest of them. So I look forward to how he plays a role in their decision making and with our core group. And that McCreary, who they call Graveyard, is a serial killer who is a dangerous idiot. And he's gonna be a problem, for sure. Raven has been teaching Amori everything that she knows so that she has a right hand who can do what Raven can do if Raven can't do what Raven does. So going back to the ground, Diyoza's crew captures Clarke and attempts to question her, and Clarke basically pulls Lincoln's card and doesn't speak at all, and Zeke kind of questions if she speaks English. Honestly, this is one of my favorite scenes of the episode because it's just such a great callback to Lincoln. Zeke is like Octavia, and Clarke is like Lincoln, but not to the extent, obviously, because they're not making out when Diyoza turns her back. But who knows, that could be the future, we don't know. And going back up to space, the crew discovers the frozen prisoners. Murderers, most of them. These prisoners have been frozen since before the world ended, I think. So, we're talking a long time. So our group thought that the prisoners were no longer on the ship and that these people who were on the ship were just generations after generations from the prisoners. They were nothing to worry about, they're just more survivors. But that's not the case because they've been frozen this entire time and they are very dangerous. Or at least we can assume that they are. The security on the ship basically warned Diyoza that there was a possible threat on board, so they decide, just to be safe, they're going to release cryo. So cryo basically means extreme cold. It's involving or producing cold. They refer to these prisoners as cryos because they've been frozen this entire time. So when they release cryo, that's just one of them, it's just their term for them, it's not the dude's name or anything. But this dude was impossible to kill. It took Echo, Raven, and Bellamy all fighting this guy and a sword through him via our girl Echo. It just shows how dangerous these guys are and how hard it is to just kill one of them. Bellamy realizes that they can use these prisoners as leverage to save Clarke. They don't know that it's Clarke. Bellamy's thought process is that if they work together and they reach agreements that they can bring down these prisoners for them and not kill them, which is the whole leverage thing. But these guys are so powerful. I can't imagine Bellamy ever letting them get to the ground. He knows how dangerous they are. There's no way he's going to put his people in that situation, so I just don't see that happening. And this next part doesn't really fit into that scene necessarily, but I really liked it and I wanted to mention it. Murphy says, "Let's be good guys." And I just really liked that because in episode 1 of this season, Clarke clearly says there are no good guys. Kind of random, but moving on. So then we get to the point in the episode where the devastation hits us, and the space squad realizes that somebody has to stay behind, and that somebody has to be Raven, because nobody else can handle what she would have to handle. She lies to Bellamy and says that there's an escape pod. That was the only way that Bellamy would let her stay behind, is if he thought that there was a way she could get back. John decides to stay back. There's my favorite line of the day right there. "Dying alone would have sucked," is what Raven said, which is great because it's a throwback to after Murphy and Raven had that little dilemma where Murphy shot Raven in the back. I mean, great friends. Who else would you want to be stuck with in space besides John Murphy? So, and I know that relationship is something that a lot of people have been looking into between Murphy and Raven, so that it seems like they're probably going along that route. So now the big question is, how are they going to get out of this? We've seen this before, them thinking that there's no way to do something, okay? So they're going to figure it out. There's the off chance that they don't figure it out, but I'm giving that like 2%. Now it's a matter of how are these two going to get back to the ground. Could they freeze themselves like the prisoners? Now, I did a little bit of research into this, and I watched a video by a guy named Quick Tops here on YouTube. I'm going to link his video in the description for you guys. Great video. But he basically explained that back in season 4, when Raven was having her seizures, there was audio playing in the background, and basically Quick Tops bumped up that audio, and you can hear them talking about the ship and the prisoners and how they were frozen using Nightblood. Raven and Murphy aren't Nightbloods. I don't think they could freeze themselves. But that would be something interesting to look into. I feel like Raven is going to think of that, but it depends if they can survive, how they're going to do this whole Nightblood thing and work around that. And the only reason I can see them doing that is if they knew Bellamy would come back for them eventually, but they knew that they didn't have enough time. Say they don't have enough food. Their best bet is just to freeze themselves until Bellamy can get back. So then, going back to the ground, Bellamy and crew come across Eligius squad, and Maddie comes out of nowhere and fully murders them. Like, it was a pretty badass moment. But the interesting thing about this scene is that Maddie knows Bellamy by name, doesn't really question. I mean, she kind of questions, she's like, Bellamy? Just to make sure. I'm not that surprised, because as you can imagine, they spent so much time together. What are they going to talk about? Maddie would want to know about Clarke, and Clarke would want to know about Maddie, so I would assume that Maddie knows everything about Clarke's past. And then the episode ends with the whole Clarke and Bellamy reunion, kinda sorta. It was more like they saw each other and that was it. So yeah, like I said, overall, it was a pretty good episode, and next week we go back to the bunker, it looks like. But before we skip to next week's episode, where I talk briefly about that, I just wanted to quickly say that one thing that I noticed that I'm a little curious about is Diyoza has this massive scar on her throat. Why, I guess? I guess it's not that important. It doesn't seem like it would be, but it's there for a reason, and I kind of want to hear that backstory. What is kind of interesting about that is earlier in the episode, somebody slits this dude's throat. So it's got to be connected in one way or another. I think it'll tie in at some point when we learn more about Diyoza. So the next episode is titled Pandora's Box, and the trailer for it looks like it's mostly focusing on the bunker. So to analyze what they mean by Pandora's Box, you guys probably know, but it's a Greek mythology thing, and basically Pandora's Box represents great and unexpected troubles. So when I first heard the title, I thought maybe that means they're going to open the bunker, which seems really early in the season to open the bunker. I feel like that's going to be like a mid-season type thing. The trailer doesn't show any indication of the bunker opening, so I'm going to say that that's not going to happen. But I think that by Pandora's Box, they just mean there's a whole lot of evil to go around. We're still going to see a lot of the bad side of Octavia, and that's what that episode's going to be about. So guys, that concludes my discussion / review of The 100, Season 5, Episode 3, Sleeping Giants, and I'll see you guys next week with Pandora's Box. Thanks for watching.